The Cinderbrew Meadery Mythic Plus Guide. Very quickly going to describe how this guide is set up. The video is split into chapters. You can find them down below. The first chapter will describe any notable trash. The second chapter will cover the boss mechanics and their abilities. And the third chapter will be role-specific duties. I have downloadable cheat sheets for all dungeons and raids down in the link below. The Cinderbrew Meadery dungeon is located on the Isle of Dorn, and the entrance is on the far east side of the map. Brewmaster Aldryr's Trash. All mobs here will occasionally get a thirsty buff. This increases their attack and cast speed by 50% for 20 seconds. It can be soothed. The Venture Company patrons will apply a stacking bleed debuff onto the tank. The Pyromaniacs will channel a deadly boiling flame attack, so be sure to interrupt this. Chef Chewy is a unique mob. You want to try to pull him with as few other mobs as possible. He has an aura that makes all mobs near him immune to CC. Other than that, his attack Tenderize will knock all players backwards, so watch where you're standing. The Brewmaster. This is a high movement fight. Throw Cinderbrew will target 2 players. This applies a 9-second dot and drops a pool of hot honey underneath them. This hot honey slows players and deals damage if you walk through it. Keg Smash is his tank attack. This will create a pool of hot honey underneath of his current location, and it will knock the tank backwards once they're hit. His final attack is Blazing Belch, which is a large frontal cone attack. Just sidestep this. The main mechanic, Happy Hour. This is triggered twice, first when he reaches 66% HP and then again when he reaches 33%. He will jump behind the bar counter and become immune to damage. He will place a bunch of mugs up on top of the bar counter that players can interact with. Click on these so that your character will grab them. You must run these mugs to the NPCs that are sitting at the tables. Run close enough to them and your character will automatically give it to them. There are 4 patrons that must be given mugs. If you're facing the patrons, there are 3 on the right side and 1 on the left. Once all patrons are served, the boss will jump from behind the counter and resume the previous abilities. One more note here is that when Happy Hour finally finishes, multiple bar brawls will spawn. You'll see white circles appear and they move around the arena. If you get caught in these, you'll be stunned for 3 seconds and take heavy damage, so keep moving. Role-specific duties. Tanks, keep moving the boss out of the hot honey pools. Once those bar brawls start spawning, constantly keep the boss moving to the clear areas of the map. Healers. Players hit with the Cinderbrew will take damage over 9 seconds. Expect constant pulsing party damage during the Happy Hour. DPS. Use a defensive if you're hit with the Cinderbrew, and make sure that you're using movement abilities and another defensive during Happy Hour. The IPA's Trash. The Flavored Scientist will spawn a keg on the ground. This keg needs to be destroyed ASAP as it explodes, dealing big damage. They also use Rejuvenating Honey, which applies a hot to a mob. This needs to be interrupted at every cast. The Careless Hobgoblins will use Reckless Delivery. They will target someone randomly and prepare to charge. You want to try to bait this charge towards a wall that's pretty close, as once he starts running, he doesn't stop until he crashes into one. Once he hits the wall, he will deal a burst of party damage, be briefly stunned, and a few brew drop ads will spawn. These ads leave honey pools behind when they are killed, so just be aware of that. Pyromaniacs still exist here, so interrupt their boiling flame channel. The IPA. This is a high movement fight where ads are the top priority. Burning Fermentation will target 2 players and apply a dispellable 16-second dot. This deals damage every 2 seconds. Bottom's Uppercut is the tank attack. It deals heavy damage and knocks the tank backwards. Now let's cover the main ability and mechanic, which triggers at 100 energy. He will use Spouting Stout. He will spin around and start throwing mead everywhere marked by circles. There are 2 kinds of circles. Gold circles just deal damage, but the gold and red circles will spawn brew drop ads. These drops will travel towards the boss, so the boss needs to be quickly moved and kept away from the ads while the DPS burn them down. Any ad that reaches the boss will deal a burst of party damage and grant a 10% shield to the boss. Once these ads are killed, they will also leave a large honey spot on the ground that deals damage if you walk through it. These honey spots will slowly shrink over time, and once they shrink completely, the brew drop respawns. This typically triggers with every Spouting Stout, so just be aware that the more Spouting Stouts, the more ads you're going to be dealing with. Role-specific duties. Tanks, keep moving the boss away from the ads and be aware of the knockback from the tank buster. Healers, dispel players that are inflicted with Burning Fermentation or heal them over 16 seconds. Spouting Stout deals party damage until the channel ends. DPS, use your CC abilities and quickly kill the brew drops before they reach the boss. Benk Buzzbee's Trash. Worker bees will apply a stacking bleed debuff, and once they reach 20% HP, they will start charging their final sting. This deals heavy damage to the tank, so kill it before it finishes. Tanks need to be aware if multiple bees have triggered this, as it could be fatal. Bee Wranglers use Bee Zuka. This targets a random player with a red beam. The person targeted should try to stand still so that the other players can avoid it. Honey Harvesters will use Swarming Surprise, which deals party damage and applies a stacking damage debuff. This attack gets 10% stronger with each use, so focus this mob down. He also uses Beeswax, which places a large circle around him. Run out, as this will stun you if you're hit. The Royal Jelly Purveyor will use Honey Volley. This hits the party and applies a 70% slow, so make sure you're interrupting this. Benk Buzzbee. This is another boss that has ads as the top priority. Fluttering Wing will deal party damage and push players backwards over 2 seconds. Honey Marinade is the tank-related mechanic. This will put a ring around the tank, and once it falls off, it will leave a pool of honey on the ground. His main ability is called Snack Time. This will summon barrels around the arena, which are marked by circles. Once they land, a ravenous cinder bee will spawn from the barrel. These need to be picked up by the tank. The ads do have an ability called Shredding Sting, where they will charge off and hit a random party member, applying a 10-second bleed. The tank also needs to keep these bees away from any of the honey pools, as if they're hovering over them, they will regenerate their HP and get a haste buff. Once these bees are defeated, they will become interactable. The other party members need to interact with the bee, which allows you to mount it. Aim the bee towards one of the barrels and press the 1 key to launch the bee. The bee will destroy any barrels that are in its path, and this is important as the barrels will continuously spawn bees every 30 seconds, which can quickly overwhelm the party. Role-specific duties. Tanks. Be mindful of where you are dropping the honey. Grab the bees that spawn from the barrels and keep them away from the honey. Healers. Expect party damage during Fluttering Wing. Shredding Sting targets will bleed for 10 seconds. DPS. Quickly kill the bees and use them to destroy the barrels. Use a defensive if you're hit with Shredding Sting. Goldie Baronbottom's Trash. The Yes Man mob needs to be focused down one at a time. When one is defeated, it will fully heal the remaining Yes Man. They have one attack where they jump up, so just avoid that. Goldie Baronbottom. Goldie will spawn a bunch of explosive barrels around the room. There are 2 types of barrels. You have regular barrels and volatile barrels. When the regular barrels are destroyed, they send out fire waves that must be avoided. When the volatile barrels explode, they send out fire waves as well, but they also apply a stackable debuff that deals damage over 6 seconds. The party needs to destroy as many barrels as possible with a primary focus on the volatile barrels before the boss reaches 100 energy. Her 100 energy attack, Let It Hail, will deal damage to the party over 5 seconds and detonate all remaining barrels. So the more barrels active means more fire waves to avoid, and the more volatile barrels active means your healer is going to have a bad time. The party must use these bosses' abilities to destroy the barrels. Burning Ricochet will target a random player with a circle. You want this circle to overlap at least 1 volatile barrel and as many other barrels as possible. Once it explodes, it destroys them. Cash Cannon is the tank attack. It's a large frontal cone that tracks the tank, so tanks need to aim this towards the barrels. After her 100 energy attack, she will spawn more barrels, and then this process repeats until she's defeated. Role-specific duties. Tanks. Aim the cone attack to destroy as many barrels as possible and prioritize the volatile barrels. Healers. Burning Ricochet targets take damage over 6 seconds. Expect Pulse Sync party damage during Let It Hail. DPS. Destroy as many barrels as possible and prioritize the volatile barrels. Use a defensive during Let It Hail. That's it for the Cinderbrew Meadery. Shout out to these channel members. If this video helped, then press the thumbs up. Subscribe if you enjoy WoW content. I have plenty of guides, tips and tricks, podcasts, and more. You can show extra support by becoming a channel member. It's 99 cents a month and gives you early ad-free access to all my videos. Check out the Prefessional merch. I'll see you in the next one.